Fine, no.
Okay. Welcome back to the From the Fabricator podcast. I'm your host, Max Pearlstein. Thank you so much for joining me on this usual run through the wonderful glassing and glazing industry. I really appreciate it. I've got two great guests coming up, and I'll tell you about them in a second. Just as a heads up, GlassBuild is coming, so it depends on when you're listening to this. You may be on your way to Orlando, or if you're listening to it afterwards, thanks for coming, or you missed something good. But GlassBuild is coming. If you've not signed up yet, feel free to use my code MAXPOD, MAXPOD 25, MAXPOD 25. Get a free show floor entry. And if you are at the show and you see me, feel free to please grab me and say hi. My mind sometimes can be pretty mushy, and I'd like to, say hi to anybody who takes the time to listen to the podcast, watch the podcast, or read the blog. So thank you very much for that. Of course, this podcast is brought to you by my friends at FHC, and they're also talking about GlassBuild Orlando as well. The FHC booth is 14022. And that's the place to be for glazers and fabricators looking to improve their businesses. See the latest innovations in glass entrances, architectural railings, and frameless shower doors, plus meet with their team of industry experts ready to help collaborate on your next project. See live demonstrations, in-booth testing, new products, and enter for your chance to win $400 in railing installation tools, the FHC Achieve Frameless Glass Railing System. It was named Best Innovation for Installers by Glass Magazine. Achieve delivers the fastest installation combined with the fastest lead time and nearly unlimited customization. The only place to see it all is in booth 14022. Thank you so much to my friends at FHC. All right, on the podcast, two absolutely super guys. Lead off with Seth Madole from Viracon. Neat conversation. It covers a lot. He is a supply chain guy now, and he offered a lot of insight on some moves and some maneuvers and looking into the future too. But a fascinating guy, and I really enjoyed that. And I end it with Kevin Black from Flexijet. May not have heard of this company. They'll be at GlassBuild, and it's a neat product, especially if you're in the shower door side of things. Met Kevin last year in Dusseldorf, and real impressed with him and his company. So check it out. And I'll see you on the other side to talk a little bit about two TV shows we're watching. So here we go, starting with Seth Madole. Okay. Starting it off with this podcast, I'm thrilled to have Seth Madole, Director of Supply Chain and Customer Experience at Viracon. Find them online at viracon.com. Seth, I'm thrilled for you to do the podcast. Thank you so much.
Max, appreciate the opportunity. We've known each other for years, and when I saw the email come through asking, I was excited about it, and have had the date marked ever since. So happy to be here.
Awesome. It's a thrill for me. I know you're a busy man, and I'm glad you could make time for this. And let's start, as I always do on every podcast, with your background. Where were you born, grew up, went to school, so on your path all the way to Viracon?
Sure. So I born and raised just outside of Iowa City, Iowa. Yes, a huge Hawkeye fan. So big football game upcoming, right?
Yep.
And by the time this airs, that Minnesota-Iowa game will have been played. But living in Minnesota now, and went to school at Morningside College in Sioux City, Iowa. 25 years ago, whatever it's been, and been at Viracon for the last 22 years since then. So that's a quick background on the upbringing, and again, we're going to be cheering for the Hawkeyes this weekend.
No doubt. And the Hawkeyes, this past weekend with a nice win over Penn State. And I always thought you were a Minnesota guy. I did not realize you were an Iowa guy. And you're working around all the Minnesota guys. They got to make you crazy there.
They do. It's a good some good trash talk going back and forth. I know Brian Savage, for example. Brian's a Gopher season ticket holder, so we get to have lots of fun in the office talking a little smack up between the Hawks and the Gophers. So
love it. All right, so let's talk about Viracon. There's probably two people out there, maybe one, that has no idea what you guys do. So could you give the rundown, the elevator pitch of what Viracon does for that one lonely person out there who's curious?
Sure. So Viracon's a glass fabricator who fabricates glass for distinctive projects across the North American marketplace. So most of our work is domestic in the U.S. And I said distinctive rather than large max because we really focus on projects that have levels of complication to them. Maybe some silkscreen, digital print, lamination that have a stack of various fabrication processes required on the job. So we really pride ourselves in high quality, complete and on-time deliveries. So that's Viracon in a very quick
Yeah.
elevator pitch.
I like that explanation because it's not just always monumental. It's sophisticated, and I think that's what does set you guys apart.
Yeah, that's a great word. And the projects behind me here kind of show that array of project type that we work on. Everything from several 100,000 square feet to a 10,000 square foot regional project. Again, the level of sophistication, complication, and then of course the glazing contractors that are involved is what's important to us.
For sure, for sure. Those of you watching on YouTube, you can see Seth's background. If you're not watching and you're listening, check it out at viracon.com. I've got Seth Madole with me, Director of Supply Chain and Customer Experience. And that hasn't always been your title. You have, I think you've worn mostly every hat in that place. And that's, I think, that's why I have so much respect for you because you have done it all. And that's got to make you feel pretty good from the standpoint of you've seen it and makes your skill set more complete. How's it been kind of just covering all that ground in your career?
Yeah, Max, appreciate those words. 22 years here, and I started as a project manager. And I think that's an important platform to start a career in this business because it was very heavily focused on the customer, where you can learn the customer needs, the customer desires, how to make a customer successful or help them be successful, how to mitigate their risk. So starting out as a project manager and then working up through different levels of sales operations, and then all the way up into supply chain really has given me a full gamut of understanding the business, and hopefully how to make it successful. So it's a unique opportunity, right? Living on the sales and customer service side, and then 4 years ago moving over to the supply side of it, but really keeping the customer requirements and then our supply chain aligned has allowed us to be successful, which is great. 'Cause again, we measure our success based on that of our customers, and
Yeah.
then trying to mitigate the risk for them. Because as you know, our customers are certainly in a heavy risk environment, and the better we can perform, the more we can help mitigate that.
No doubt, no doubt, and I think it's a natural fit for you to go from that sales, that taking care of the customer to the supply chain because you understand their pains, you understand their priorities, and now you're a part of trying to make sure you're solving those solutions from a supply standpoint.
Yeah, it's interesting. Supply chain has given me a different perspective with regards to how to think about us serving the customer as well. With many of our customers becoming unitizing customers, we also think about, we have a saying in-house here that how do we keep the ingredients in front of the chef,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So our fabrication process requires lots of ingredients to be here on time and of the correct quality for us to make our product. That's not dissimilar from our unitizing customers.
right.
So how we service that unitizing customer in a manufacturing environment with complete on time and high quality product helps them be successful. So how do we keep the chef in front of or the ingredients in front of the chef is true not only on the sales operations and customer service side, but also on the supply chain side. And we're fortunate. If I missed an opportunity to give a shout out to our tremendous supply partners, they know who they are if they're listening, and we work daily to make the operation successful.
Yeah, that's awesome, and it's good that you're giving them the salute because it's a big part when you have that communication up and down the chain. One thing falls apart. I saw you speak once. I think it was in Texas, and you talked about the chain, which then made me think about the Fleetwood Mac song, "The Chain," because I love that song. But you're only as good as your partners on who you work with, and so I think you guys have nailed that.
Yeah, that's very true, Max. And I'm certain that we could go out and buy certain raw materials that slightly cheaper than we do today, maybe have lesser quality or less of a complete and on time, but really creating those win-win supply chain partnerships where we get a quality product, it's on time, we can depend on it, we can run our 24 hours a day, 7 days a week without significant interruption. Is really how it flows through. And then ultimately the glazing contractor benefits from that with glass showing up on time and in the sequence that it's required.
Perfect, perfect. I've got Seth Madole with me, Director of Supply Chain and Customer Experience at Viracon. See them online at viracon.com. And you can also see Seth coming up at the Glazing Executives Forum at GlassBuild. He'll be speaking along with a gentleman from Allegion and also Mike Turner from YKK. It's a high-powered panel I get to sit up and throw out some questions to, because the three guys up there, Paul Ballou from Allegion, along with Seth and Mike, they're powerful, and so I'm excited to hear your talk. I know you're going to cover a lot of ground, but what do you think your number one concern right now in the supply chain is? Because I know there's a lot of worries and a lot of concerns, but what's number one on your list?
I think uncertainty is where to start. Viracon has a heavy domestic supply chain, so tariffs don't directly impact us. However, the uncertainty that tariffs and other disruptions in the supply chain, mostly outside of the United States, is creating within the market. So we see projects that are taking longer to award or taking longer to construct because of that uncertainty in the market. And then, of course, tariffs and how more directly may they impact us or our customer base, and then the materials that we all rely upon on a daily basis.
Yeah, the uncertainty, I think, is what hurts. I'm sure like Garrett Henson and your sales guys, they hate the uncertainty because they're dealing with developers and architects that are suffering through that. So it's such a great word, because I think it's affecting us all.
Yeah, we certainly see. We track a lot of metrics internally, but one of them that's top of mind is how long it takes from the original quote on a project to the point where the project gets awarded. And for example, Max, that is stretched out to levels that are haven't been seen before. Meaning it's taking a lot longer for these project teams to make decisions, and certainly that uncertainty is a portion of it. And whether or not the materials that are relied upon outside of the United States are available, and what those schedules become. So it's an interesting time. 22 years. I think I can say it's been an interesting time many times over those 22 years. But this is one of the more challenging times, just from a project scheduling and anticipating. Because as we think about project schedules, Max, at any one time there might be 300 plus or minus projects going through our production facility, and we are staffing accordingly. So there's a lot of flow through to the quality of that forecast, and when is that project going to be ordered, when is it going to be executed, when does the customer need the glass, and then our staffing levels accordingly. I can get all the way into the weeds here for us, but whether it's heat treating capacity or insulating capacity or lamination capacity, and how we project all of that to ensure that we have the correct workforce on staff to maintain lead times and meet the customer requirements.
Yeah, no, there's a lot there, and you got a lot of balls in the air. So I give you a lot of credit. So, I mean, it's a battle, and we got more to go. I got a bunch more questions, but I always break up the podcast with a fun one about halfway through. And I'm curious on what you do in your spare time. I know you're a heck of a family man, because I see everything you do for your kids online. You got real talented ones too. So congrats to you. What's the hobbies or sports or spare time for Seth Madole? What do you like to do?
Yeah, thank you, Max. The kids are both young adults now, so my wife and I have attempted to transition from chasing kids from sports to sport to sport, and into empty nesting now.
Wow. Yeah.
I have one. My son is living out in Delaware, and my daughter is living in Wisconsin. So we've transitioned to that empty nesting, and most of our time is in the summertime is spent at the lake.
Nice. Nice.
It's classic Minnesota hobby there, but the lake, whether we're fishing, and then with fall upon us, I'll spend several weekends hunting this time of year as well. So it's a beautiful time of year in Minnesota. It's 60 during the day and 45 in the morning, and the trees are changing and that. So have transitioned, I'll say, somewhat effectively from baseball fields and softball diamonds into the empty nesting world, and what that means.
Nice. I like it. That's the way to go. And I know it's hunting season, all over the place, especially as November gets closer. It starts to open up all over America, and so good. You're morphing, and it's good to get out and get some fresh air too. Especially in the world we work in.
Yep, it's a tremendous exercise. Get out there and walk the fields and enjoy a little peace and quiet. As I've gotten older, I've noticed it doesn't necessarily matter whether or not the hunt is successful in terms of birds or deer. However, just being out in nature, spending time walking around with friends and family, and sometimes the stories get told in the parking lot before and after the hunts, right? So
Yeah.
it's all good.
Awesome.
Having a ton of fun, and I'm looking forward to it. This weekend, as a matter of fact, is actually the opener of pheasant hunting. So
Okay.
I am 5 days from being in the field.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Have fun and good luck out there for sure. And I love it. I love it. I can't wait to hear some of the stories at GlassBuild. A couple more questions for Seth Madole, Director of Supply Chain and Customer Experience at Viracon. You and the team there, and I know it's a team effort, have built an amazing reputation for customer service there. So kudos. I know though that you just can't throw in the lights and it happens. I mean, there is a lot of work that goes into it. What are some of the lessons that you learned along the way of trying to perfect, that top-notch customer service?
Yeah. That has a potential to be a long answer, Max. I'm thinking back, 22 years ago joining Viracon,
Right.
and the culture was so strong even then. Right. So there is a desire to answer the phone, to be responsive, to do what I call the blocking and tackling. Some people think about it and look at it when I mention this, and they're like, "What?" I said, "We still measure the percentage of time that a human answers the phone here."
Nice.
So really wanting to talk to our customers and building that culture within this team uh, has been awesome, and a portion of it could be the Minnesota nice side of it, right?
Right.
We want to serve, we want to help, we want to assist the best we can. The other thing, we are extremely fortunate to have a very tenured group of people,
Right.
to the point so where there's, it's going to create some challenges here over the next few years as people have earned their opportunity to retire, and we try and continue to build that culture and create the same environment that we have here today. So we're very fortunate with tenured group. When I say that, I'm thinking, Max, I have 2 or 3 people who will retire in the next 24 months,
Right.
who will all have more than 40 years of experience.
Wow. Wow.
So
That's going to be tough. I mean, the relationships they've built over those 40 years are like gold. So that's tough.
yeah, I
I,
think it speaks volumes to the leadership of the company as well, to have created a culture and a work environment where people were willing and wanting to spend their careers here. So building that stability, and to your point, the relationship that these folks have with their customers. It's very common for me to be walking around the office and overhear a conversation where one of our estimators or our project managers is speaking to a customer and talking about their pet or their child,
yeah.
or having those personal relationships is phenomenal. And allowing our customer base to call in and speak to the same person, whether it's on the estimating side or the project management side, for many years. They know how they operate, they know how they work together, they know how to be successful, and it's a wonderful strength that we've been able to build here.
Yeah, props to you, and I love the term, and I know it gets used a bunch, but blocking and tackling is underrated. I mean, I think everybody likes the flash, but man, if you don't have that foundation of the blocking and tackling, you're going nowhere.
Yeah, Max, you're making me think of an interesting example this weekend. I needed to order a pizza from a local pizza place that has been around for many years. And for the first time, I'd hate to guess how many pizzas over the last 20 years I've ordered from this place. But for the first time ever, I had an AI experience trying to order the pizza
Oh
from
no.
this. And it just hit me. And I'm like, I understand the need to be efficient and to try and continually improve and potentially save some money if that's the case. But at the same time, the people contact, and especially in this business, it is very important.
Yeah.
And we can read whether levels of urgency, compassion, what's going on, and better form those relationships so that we can all be successful. So blocking and tackling is important, all the way from how quick we turning the quotes around, how quick are we turning the order confirmations around, how often are we answering the phone, and just trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
And we're fortunate to have a team that is very passionate about doing that, whether somebody's on vacation and they're covering each other's desks, whatever it takes. I often, 7 o'clock at night, not uncommon to receive a text message, and we welcome that,
Yeah.
because if it's helping a customer, we want to be responsive and act accordingly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree with that, and that's why you guys have what you have. So I like that. I like everything that you've got going on. A couple more questions for Seth Madole of Viracon. See him and his company online at viracon.com. Let's talk about products. I know you're a supply chain guy now, but you obviously keep a close tab on all the various products. What is hot in your world right now? Because again, you talked earlier about the sophistication, the distinctiveness. What's the hot product in the Viracon landscape these days?
Sure. Just within the last 30 days, Max, we've launched our Source Safe bird friendly product.
Okay.
So bird friendly is certainly showing up on a number of projects across the United States. It started in some select markets, and now we're starting to see it essentially in every market where some portion of the project is at least starting in the design phase with a need for bird friendly products. Our Source Safe product is a laser etch on the number one surface.
Nice.
So meets a lot of the criteria for bird friendly and is also available with all of our standard coatings on the second surface. So don't have to give up any of the performance, but also have that laser etch on the number one surface where the birds can detect it at a higher rate and again pass all those requirements. So let's start with bird friendly as it's here now.
Yeah.
Next up would be VIG.
Okay.
I
Right.
think VIG is being talked about a lot about in the market. It's still early, but certainly any designers or architects who are listening to the pod will be thinking about VIG as it improves the U value significantly.
Yeah.
So where the VIG market goes, and then additional printing capabilities is also top of mind. So we are seeing more larger size glass, more designers get creative, whether that's dot on dot technology, where you have a color of a dot facing out and a different color of dot facing the interior of the building.
Right.
A lot of creativity there. So those are top of mind. And then the other thing I'd throw in the new product category or enhancements would be quality requirements. So we have just launched an enhanced Delta E for coating color.
Okay.
And we've also just launched a tightened optical distortion specification. So both of those are steering towards a higher quality standard and getting a lot of early attention from designers and building owners alike.
Nice, nice. Because we do take a lot of heat in our industry for not sometimes performing to the levels that people expect us. So you guys taking those next steps, that's really good. And then the first couple of things you mentioned on Bird and VIG. I look at New York City, and you guys are powerful there. I mean, and so it only makes sense that with New York, local law 97, everything that's going on, you're playing right into that audience. And so once again, you're kind of, taking the right steps. So you got a lot on your plate right now, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's fun. They're great opportunities and challenges at the same time. You mentioned local law there in New York City, and when you see New York City or a major metro area adopt something like that, then it cascades into other markets as well. So we will be seeing bird friendly for the next many years to come. Thankfully, it's an important aspect that's available from glass, and there's a lot of different efforts out there to educate and attempt to put that on more buildings to save more birds.
Yeah, and it's a great product for the glass industry. I was out in California, I guess 6 months ago, and I visited a glazer, and he says, I keep on getting these specs for bird friendly, and every time I go to one of your conferences, it's bird friendly, bird friendly, bird friendly, and everybody's talking about bird friendly. And I said, dude, that's great product for our industry. I mean, it's you should want this. You should want to see that spec. That's value add without having to do crazy stuff. And so, I mean, you guys probably feel the same way. You've got the laser, and you're adding on to already a great product. It's super. It's easy.
Yeah. It is a great opportunity to add another component that's available. And again, it doesn't limit any of our other capabilities.
Right.
So it marries up well in the process and allows us to continue to feature those things that we're also known for.
Gotcha. Two more questions for Seth Madole, Director of Supply Chain and Customer Experience at Viracon, viracon.com. And obviously, 22 years ago, if we talked about bird friendly, we'd both laugh and be like, yeah, right, whatever, sure. But really, what's been the biggest change for you in the 20 plus years you've been at Viracon, from when you started to now? What do you count as probably the biggest thing that's changed in your world?
Sure. Aside from the gray hair, Max,
I don't see the gray hair, Seth. You look good, man. The beard is gray.
I tightened the beard up today a little bit because it shows a little less gray that way. But
you're looking solid. You're looking solid.
Thank you. So aside from the gray hair, the biggest thing that's changed is project complexity. So when I started as a project manager 22 years ago, we'd see 2 or 3 glass types on a building.
Right.
You'd have your vision glass, you'd have your spandrel glass, and you might have a little feature area that has something a little more tricked out, right? Today, 8, 9, 10 glass types on a building is not uncommon. And then add into that the percentage of shapes that we see.
Yeah.
So from a estimating and project management perspective, that's a lot more complicated. And then the other thing that's really shifted in 22 years that I touched on earlier is how our customer does business. 22 years ago, 90% of our volume was shipping to a job site, where if we facilitated a couple hundred pieces of glass to that job site on a weekly cadence, they could do their job and keep their crews busy.
Right.
Now that volume is being manufactured in a unitizing factory. So it's not only important to get them 200 pieces of glass every week, it's important to get them the correct 200 pieces of glass every week,
Right.
so that they can continue their manufacturing process and meet that project schedule. So the unitizing shift has been the biggest change that comes to mind when you ask that question.
No, great answer, great answer. And it's funny, the products too, because when I started, 35 years ago, it was, you were excited when you got a hard coat low E. Now things have changed so much, and it's definitely a whole new world. But the unitizer has changed a lot of things, and I could see how that's changed it for you guys. Last question for you. I know, being in the supply chain, being at Viracon, having the connections you have, you may see this differently than others. But 2026 and beyond, what are you feeling? What are you seeing? Are you optimistic, nervous? Positive. I mean, what's your take for the future? Because I know we talked earlier about uncertainty, so you just don't know. But what's your gut telling you about next year and beyond?
Max, is a tough question for me. My job is to use data and be as real as possible, because
Right.
I'm surrounded by a lot of optimistic salespeople, right? So we have to balance that. However, I also have an opportunity to speak to a number of general contractors for various reasons, typically on a monthly basis, and I'm hearing a bit of a trend. And folks are talking about the fact that the market right now is actually more sluggish than even like an ABI leading indicator, for example.
Right.
And the reason that is that there's a lot of designed work that isn't being constructed. So if you look at the ABI, or the Architectural Billings Index, the market is actually performing less than the ABI would indicate. However, if you're going to find a silver lining and be on the optimistic side of that, that means when this market swings back, there's a lot of buildings that have been designed and just haven't pulled the trigger yet.
Right.
So, there is a trend being talked about that says, hey, when this breaks loose, it will come back quicker than we're expecting it to because of that. And then follow that up with, 1 or 2 more interest rate cuts, and we think these projects will break loose, and you'll see it. So if I'm looking at it from an optimistic lens, I think it'll take until the back half of next year,
Right.
or even early into calendar 27, because as you and I know, if they start those buildings right now, from a glass fabrication perspective,
Takes a while for us. Right.
it's probably 18 months out, right? So, again, we go back to where we started this pod and talked about the uncertainty. So there's lots of moving parts into that. I do see a little bit of a trend or a theme where folks are talking about these design buildings that are sitting and waiting for good news to happen.
Yeah.
And maybe an interest rate cut or two will be the catalyst for that.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Good take. And I've written about it, talked about it. I mean, there's the pent up demand is pretty significant, and then the money sitting on the sidelines is significant. So, like you said, when things can finally break loose a little bit, and we get some of these, hopeful maneuvers with the markets and so on, and rate cuts, it should fly a lot faster than what we saw, in past downturns. So that gives you a little bit of hope, but you'd just like for it to move a little faster. I mean, but that's our world. Nothing ever moves as fast as you want it to. I'm sure you go through it on the supply side and everything else.
We see it all the time. We will lots of schedule movements, things. I was like, wait, you start getting excited and optimistic about some things, moving in the right direction. Then all of a sudden there's a pause or a delay of some sort. So it's the world we live in. It's a great industry. A lot of great folks like yourself, Max, who do wonderful things for the industry, and it's a riot being a part of it. So I can't wait for a couple of weeks to see it GlassBuild,
Yep.
and I know you gave that shout out there earlier, but it's a powerful supply chain team, but we got the best moderator in the business, so people should be excited for that 30 minutes.
You're putting some pressure on me. Thank you for the kind words. I'm just lucky. Again, if you're coming to GlassBuild Glazing Executives Forum, Seth is going to be up there with Mike Turner of YKK and Paul Ballou of Allegiant. And again, I think it's going to be a fun time. And then we also have people like Connor Lokar talking about the forecast. So everything that Seth and I just went over for a couple minutes ago, you'll either hear it either confirmed or denied by Connor, and in a very humorous way, because you've seen Connor speak, so you know he does it in a great way. But I am looking forward to seeing you. Thank you for doing this podcast. Thank you for everything you do for the industry too. You and Viracon are tremendous supporters of this industry, and as a industry guy, I'm very grateful. So thank you for all of that, and look forward to seeing you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, Max, see you in a couple of weeks. I appreciate the opportunity, and we'll talk soon. Appreciate it very much.
You bet. Stay well. Thank you.
Hey Glazers and Fabricators, FHC, the frameless hardware company, is here to support your business. In addition to offering a complete selection of glazing tools and supplies to get the job done right, we design, engineer, and manufacture a comprehensive offering of frameless shower door systems, heavy glass doors, aluminum entrances and storefronts, architectural railings, transaction and display hardware. Privately owned and American made, FHC prioritizes you, the customer. You now have a choice. Visit fhc-usa.com.
Okay. I am thrilled to have Kevin Black, Flexijet North America. You can find them online at flexijet.info. And you can also see them at GlassBuild at booth 23007, which is pretty cool, 23007. Kevin, thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Hey, Max, I really appreciate you inviting me. I've been looking forward to this ever since we connected a couple weeks back. So
Absolutely. I've been looking forward to it too. And I got to meet you once, and I know a tiny bit about you, but I always start with your background, where you're born, grew up, went to school, and then how you made it all the way to Flexijet. Give me a little bit of your run through your past, please.
Sure. So Dallas area, born and raised, Cowboys fan,
Gotcha.
big Stars fan.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of us. Hockey hasn't taken off that much down here yet, but
Right.
we're doing our best. So yeah, grew up in the Dallas area. I'm based a little ways south. Went to school here in the local area at a trade school, Texas State Technical College.
Great. And you put that to work at Flexijet, I know, and I know what you kind of do, and I don't know a ton of it. I've seen like Champagne Glass,
Mhm.
always talks about how great Flexijet is. Precision Glass in Texas, talks about how great Flexijet is. But there's probably people that have no idea what I'm talking about when I say Flexijet. They don't know, what you do. So give me like a rundown of what you do, who you serve, and how you work within the glass industry.
Sure. So, like you said, I'm the U.S. rep for Flexijet North America. It's a digital measurement company. So we provide digital measurement equipment and training on that equipment for companies that work in precise fabrication. Glass is glass being one of the largest current markets for us and one of the most quickly growing. The way that it works is it's a tripod mounted laser based measurement system. Take it out on a job site, produce a CAD file of the site conditions that you can verify and send off to a fabrication process.
And that's, I mean, I see shower door folks using it. This is also good for curtain wall and storefront people as well. I mean, it can go across the whole gambit, right?
Sure, it depends a lot on expected tolerance. Here sometimes that, some of these projects can be done off spec, and some quick verification is okay. But when you're talking about sub-millimeter accuracy needed, that's the realm that we're working in. So tracking outages for shower enclosures, positioning hardware for mounting a standoff glass railing. Those are the sorts of places that we see most of the people contacting us for.
Very cool, very cool. And you can find you online, www.flexijet.info. So that's FLEXIJET.info. I got Kevin Black with me, and I'm just I think the product is very cool. And I'm amazed that I really didn't have a lot of knowledge of it. I knew that there were laser systems, but I didn't really wasn't aware of this. How long has FlexiJet been out there? I mean, how long have you been pushing this?
So Flexijet itself is a started in Germany, still headquartered in Germany. They started up in 2006 with the first generation Flexijet. Brought out the second generation, which is what we're working with now in 2018, 2019. That's when we hit the US market kind of in full.
Right.
Uh, Started off in the stone industry.
Okay.
Once we hit, got going here, that's kind of our training base was, the trainers that we work with. That was their background, was in the stone industry. In glass, we've really taken off in the last 3 years, I would say.
Yeah, with shower doors have exploded, and so I assume that that's what's driving the growth, right?
It's huge, and the custom glass railings
Yeah.
are, we're hearing from so many people that getting away from the need to create hard templates has, revolutionized the way that they're able to get those projects done.
Awesome, awesome. Very cool. Kevin Black, FlexiJet North America with me. I know, just following you on LinkedIn, I know you travel all over the world for shows. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about, your favorites and so on. But first question is you obviously get a lot of input about the economy, the vibe out there, the feel. And I know you're at shows almost like every other week. What is everybody talking about out there? Are they positive about the future, worried about the future? What's the vibe you're finding out there at the different shows you do all over the place?
So it really varies, like I said, when I said I'm the US rep for
Hmm.
FlexiJet North America, I'm the only one. So like I said, I'm all over. It Some places we're hearing a lot of not a great time to invest in a change. But then other places, they're saying if I don't change now, then I can't grow.
Right.
The Midwest has been huge for us in the last 2 years. Me being in Texas, glass work in Austin is nonstop.
Right.
Austin has been exploding, is continuing to explode. So it really varies. But what we're really hearing from people is regardless of, what's going on in the world, throwing away glass is unpleasant. And that's one of the big things that we're trying to help people with.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens when it measures wrong, and there's nothing worse than showing up at a home with a shower door that's not going to fit.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be that person telling that homeowner, "Sorry, I'll get this back to you in 2 weeks," sort of thing. So
Right.
that's the worry you take away from these people.
Yeah, and that's always the goal. And the equipment does its job.
Yeah,
But I've because that's kind of my world is getting it in the hands of people. But I've got to give a big shout out to our training team. They're incredible. Every FlexiJet comes with a personalized training plan.
nice.
So, getting people, educated on not only how to use it, but where could you go with it. And that all comes from, the team that we've got here.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I have to ask you, as we were talking about the shows, you've been to a bunch. I know that sometimes you do international shows because you're representing America. What is your favorite show and favorite location? Because in the last couple of years that you've been traveling, you've seen some places. Just from following you on LinkedIn, what's your favorites?
So the show last year in Dusseldorf has to be up there.
Okay.
That's where you and I met.
Yep.
That was my first time to Europe. I started with FlexiJet early 21.
Okay.
So they finally got me out to Germany last year for that show, and it was just an incredible experience to learn the different ways that people are doing things. I talked to a lot of people all over the place here, and just to find out the differences. Whether that's in the industry, culturally, the way they spend their time. That was a very cool show. I did a small show my first year in Boise, Idaho.
Okay.
And
Hot area now. Hot area.
yeah, Boise is a really fun place to be. I had another show the next week in Portland, so I got an Airbnb up in the mountains and stayed the weekend there, just sipping coffee on the porch looking out over the lake. And that was an unforgettable one for me.
Nice, nice. Well, you know what? You have to travel for work. Sometimes you make the most of it, and I give you credit there. Very cool, very cool. I like it. And I agree with Glass Tech last year in Germany was really an interesting event. And it's funny because I never got to really leave the NGA booth, so I didn't see your booth there. Didn't see you there. I only saw you at the airport, afterwards. So obviously it was a busy show for a few of us to not get around. So, but I will see you at GlassBuild, booth 23007. I will definitely be stopping by as well as everybody hopefully listening to this podcast. I got Kevin Black with me, Flexijet North America. Find them online, flexijet.info. I always break up the podcast with a fun one. And you and I talked in the airport. You told me this. I don't remember because I don't remember anything from that day in the airport. Favorite style of music or group? What is your Kevin Black's go-to music or group or song? Talk to me about your musical tastes.
So I'm a big Zeppelin fan.
Nice.
If I had to put somebody at number one,
You're young though. You're a young guy who likes Zeppelin. That's kind of rare.
yeah, no, it's always been a thing. My mom was a music teacher,
Okay.
and I grew up listening to her CDs and her vinyl, and she was a Zeppelin fan, and that's always stuck with me. I uh, I have an uncle named Jim,
Hmm.
so everybody thinks that I named my son after him, and he was named after Jimmy Page. So
No way.
yeah,
Fantastic. I assume you've seen the Zeppelin documentary. I think it was either Netflix or HBO
a
Max.
recent one,
A recent
yeah,
one. Really good.
fantastic, incredible,
Yeah, and Jimmy Page still got it. I mean,
yeah, oh yeah,
yeah, and I love the Robert Plant part where I mean, it was just the whole thing was fantastic. So very
yeah.
cool. Led Zeppelin. All right. Did not I know we may have talked about it, did not expect that. That was a good answer by you. All right. Couple more questions for Kevin Black, FlexiJet North America. Really cool product. You can see that online at flexijet.info. Also see them at GlassBuild. Coming up, depending on when you listen to this, you might be listening to this on the way to Orlando, or if you missed it out of Orlando, booth 23007. You're a younger guy, and you got into our space a few years ago. You probably notice as you go to shows and get around, we don't have a lot of youth in our industry. What attracted you, and how do we attract more Kevin Blacks to the space? More people that came out of a technical school, it wanted to do something, and now look at you, you're rolling along. How do we attract more of your age group and your compadres out there?
I mean, I think you hit on it in the question. I think technical education is extremely important for growing industries like these. Um, if companies were able to get into those institutions and start building relationships and get that message to trickle down, because prior to working with FlexiJet, I actually was an educator at the institution that I went to.
That's right. That's right. I remember that. Okay.
So I went through the computer-aided drafting and design program at TSTC and, kept in touch with them. An opportunity came up, started working with them, and got to see really how that works. And so much of technical education has to come from the industry. They don't know what to teach if the industry doesn't tell them what they need. So, if companies were able to get in, find a local one and say, hey, we're looking for people and this is what we need them to know, that message will trickle down and, aid the recruiting efforts, these companies are doing, or these educational institutions are doing, job fairs every weekend. So
Yeah.
it's it's a real place to go get real people.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of times we in the glass industry will look at a trade school and say, well, they're just going to be an electrician or HVAC or a plumber. But yet, we can find glazers, we can find, people that want to work with laser measuring and so on and so forth. Yeah, I just think you're right. We got to look, right? I mean, we just got to start knocking on doors.
Sure, and that's it's a great point that you bring up there because that is the general assumption when you see any of those. I know the one here, everybody assumes that they're in the diesel mechanic program because 80% of them are.
Yeah.
But when I was going to school there, we were approached by an electrical engineering company.
Okay.
There was no, solidified electrical engineering
Program.
process,
Yeah.
as far as the computer-aided drafting and design
Yeah.
program went. And they told us what they needed, and they developed, coursework for it. and
Nice.
started hiring students straight out of it. So if that company if companies like that hadn't come to the institution and said, we're looking for people and this is what we need them to know when they leave here, we never would have started that program.
Yeah, you've hit on something there, and I hope people take advantage of it. That's a neat play, and especially because just because they don't advertise it, don't show it, doesn't mean that they don't need it or want it. Because we got a cool industry here. I mean,
Oh, for sure.
I mean, you see this the shower door work specifically that gets done after your FlexiJet is in there, and it's mind blowing. I mean, some of the stuff Ryan Shoemaker puts up from up in Toronto. I mean, he uses your laser, and it's fantastic. I mean, and so I would hope that it could attract some younger people to say, I want to do that.
Right. It's a trade. You get to work with your hands, but you can also be an artist.
Yeah. That's and you now I had this question down for you because you had that computer aided drafting and you kind of have that kind of background. I was really curious to see what you're thinking about artificial intelligence these days. AI is everywhere, seemingly growing, but you were with your knowledge base, you were probably on the leading edge of that sort of thing. What is your take on AI? How it fits? Where it's going? What are you thinking about that with that?
So for us, we're still very job site focused.
Okay.
You know, we're working in a line and point based CAD software, and it's a representation of the job site. So for us in today, as of October 2025, we're still very focused on the craftsman on site because we
Okay.
don't see that changing.
Right.
Now, where I see that really impacting the glass and glazing industry in the future is how are those softwares working? What's happening inside of the computer to make the work more efficient. I would not be surprised to see, AI-based parametrics start, trickling down into this, saying, here's my space, I've measured it, give me a couple of options on the design, and I want the deductions.
And
Nothing
there,
saying that it won't, we're not far away from something like that coming out.
yeah, I could see that. Now, you personally, do you use AI in your like personal life? Like when you're needing something or you're researching something, do you run into AI and use it at all?
Sure, the large language models, we work in a bunch of different industries. Sometimes I use it to, if I'm doing outreach to people, especially in an industry that maybe I haven't worked in recently, I haven't done a show, I haven't had those conversations, you know, giving me kind of a place to pitch some ideas and get some feedback on, how I'm trying to interact. That's something that I do relatively often. And then, I'm in a couple fantasy football leagues that help me make a couple trade decisions here and there, but
How we doing in the fantasy football leagues?
not great.
Yeah,
Not great.
I'm with you. I won fantasy baseball this year, but fantasy football has been just really ugly this year. So
Yeah.
I'm not alone, but I'm sure you'll pick it back up. But I'm sorry, I interrupted you in the middle of a AI talk there.
No, no, but I really I don't I underutilize it, I would say. I should use it more because every time that I do, specifically like I was saying to kind of calibrate my thoughts and put together a message, I know the bones of it,
Yeah.
but I want a couple options on the words that I really want to use. That's it's a powerful tool. At the end of the day, it is.
It's amazing. Yeah, I'm completely with you there. Very powerful. I've got Kevin Black with me, Flexijet North America. Find them online, flexijet.info. At GlassBuild 23007 is their booth number. And I know you're a busy man, so we'll start to wrap up at GlassBuild in Orlando. Anything special planned in the FlexiJet booth? I assume you'll have the laser out. Anything special? Talk to me about what you're going to show in Orlando and what people may see.
Sure, we're really excited for this one. We've got a training base. Some of our trainers are based in the Central Florida area,
Good.
so we're we're taking the opportunity to get the entire team out. We've got people coming from, the German team. We've got somebody from our marketing team coming over from the UK. So as always, we'll have the laser there to do live demonstrations. But the big thing that we're really excited about this year is rolling out our shower measurement function.
Okay.
We've always been able to measure showers, but we measured showers the same way that we would measure anything else. It was line and point geometry in the same format. And what we were hearing from people was that, they didn't want to do they didn't want to feel like they're doing a CAD drawing when they're measuring the showers. If that was the only thing that they really got into digital measurement for, then, they're taking our files over to something like Smart Glazer, and they're saying,
Mhm.
"Hey, I really just want to shoot this. Can you guys help me speed that up?" We said, "We'll try," and we did.
Nice.
So we're rolling out our shower measurement function this year at GlassBuild. Really excited to show that to people in those live demonstrations.
And live demonstrations, you have like timing on it, or if somebody just walks in the booth and says, "Hey, can you show me?" You could just show them on demand.
Hey, if we're in the booth, we've got the laser, and if we've got the laser, we can show you how it works.
Beautiful. And I assume you mentioned Smart Glazer. I assume it probably integrates with various different softwares in our industry, correct? Or is that
Sure.
case by case?
We've got a really, really clean pass through for Smart Glazer. You know, we've learned a lot of, what they need and
Hmm.
kind of tailored, especially this function towards what, those sorts of ERP softwares really need from the job site. Um, we see a lot of people, it's a CAD software at the end of the day. So sending off DXFs to suppliers is something that we can do direct from our software. But as far as, working with the various different types of, ERP softwares, we've learned a lot over the last couple of years, and people are generally really pleased on the outcome.
Nice. Yeah. No, I can imagine. I'm looking forward to. I missed you the last time at Glass Build. Because I run around like a nightmare. But I will not miss you guys this year. I look forward to seeing it. And I just think it's the future. You've been around for a while, but I just think more and more people, just for the accuracy aspect, need this because. Nobody wants to make that mistake, like I mentioned earlier, on any site, on any project, and that probably includes your stone business and other business. We can't afford to do something twice, and I think that's what you take away.
I'd say so. That's the big thing. And what people find out is when they really kind of get it figured out, they get going with it, they work through the training process. All of a sudden, those crazy showers with the rake ceiling and the radius and the neo angle, they're no different.
Yeah,
There's no project that a trained FlexiJet user walks into and says, "This is going to stress me out."
nice.
That's because we'd measure a 90-degree enclosure the same way that we'd measure that, complex shower that I just mentioned.
Nice, nice, and we all have enough stress. So if this can take it away, that's a good thing. I love it. I've had Kevin Black with me, FlexiJet North America. See him online, flexijet.info at GlassBuild. See him at booth 23007. Go get an example, a training, a chance to see it in action. Kevin, I thank you so much for doing the podcast. I hope you can also fix the Cowboy defense because they can't really stop anything. That's got to make you a little crazy.
I, I'll do my best. I'll call Jerry. I
There you
don't
go.
best I can do. But Max, really appreciate you having me on. It's been a pleasure.
A pleasure's all mine, my friend. I'll see you in Orlando. Thank you so much for doing the podcast. Thank you.
Perfect. See you then.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you to Kevin Black and to Seth Madole, two great guests. Really appreciate it. Thank you as well also to my friends at FHC. You can see them at GlassBuild America, booth 14022. They got everything going on. It will be the place to be. Check them out. Lots of things going on with their frameless glass railing system too. So see them at booth 14022, fhc-usa.com. Thank you to them for the support of this podcast. As always, the TV rundown, two shows to watch. One is Adolescence on Netflix. I really had no idea until this show won all the Emmys, and they won them deservedly. The acting is tremendous, but it's the camera work. Everything is done in one shot per episode, so it's one long shot. Mind-blowing when you think about that. I can't wait to read more of the behind-the-scenes stuff, but it's Adolescence, a very, very interesting and well-done show on Netflix. And I'm currently watching Task on HBO, and that's been pretty good. It's based in Philadelphia. The only rough part of it is they're trying way too hard with the Philadelphia regionalism, the little accent that comes out of that region. To the point, it almost sounds like mockery. I still think, though, the show is great. Check it out, Task on HBO. All right, that's it for me this time. If you're going to GlassBuild, I look forward to seeing you. If not, let's stay in touch one way or another. We've got another great podcast coming up. I think two more for the rest of this year, and real excited about the guests we have coming up. Thank you so much for the support, and we'll see you next time.
Oh, the music is stopped.